You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
All right, let me get my mind right. There we go. All right, 30 seconds of silence, and we're going to do the thing. Here we go. That's not silence. Now, come on now. The fuck? Silence! 30 seconds of silence. I don't understand why silence for 30 seconds is such an impossible feat now. If I could let the conversation die and then just not say anything for 30 seconds and then everyone would go their own way and forget that we were even talking. But I say 30 seconds of silence.
I just sniffed.
Like
you
if I can
started
hear
it.
silence!
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Ad Space. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman, but with me, the actual host of the program, the owner, proprietor, the CEO of Ad Space, head custodian, lead therapist, head designer, Elise Bacon. How are you?
Okay, one second.
What? It's your show. What do you mean?
Okay,
Hold
so
on.
we have the owner,
Yes.
the CEO,
Yes. Chief Financial Officer also.
CFO,
CFO. You're also the lead therapist.
lead therapist. I will accept that one.
You also head of HR.
Head of HR.
That's right. You're not the head of the legal department, but you're like the senior vice president assistant to the head of the legal department.
Hold on, senior assistant
To the vice president of the legal department.
to the VP of the legal department.
Right.
And then chief custodian.
Yeah,
That's what you said?
You're lead custodian, yes.
Lead custodian, not chief custodian.
Yeah, lead custodian, yes.
Lead custodian.
Mostly we just have an issue with cats, really. So you handle the cat.
In parentheses, cat wrangler.
Cat wrangler, yes. You just handle the cats, really. There's a lot of cats on the premises. You just kind of...
Although the official cat of the podcast is Dynamite.
Dynamite is the official cat, yes. That's
Okay.
why we thought you'd be good for the position.
Okay.
Because of your
And
previous experience.
now head designer.
So yes, lead designer, yes.
Oh, lead designer.
Yes. Visual designer.
Lead designer or lead visual designer?
It's well, because design has so many different things, so it's like, well, the title is is one thing, but what you do is you help design not only the visuals of the podcast, but the visuals on the website, and also the clothing that we wear and the furniture inside the office, the color of our cars, and where we go to eat. So there's like a general air of design, like a thorough uniform design, where you might see me with like Unreasonable Fridays socks as I step into my Unreasonable Fridays branded Honda Civic, for example.
Yeah,
kind
we
of a-
are really terrible at promoting our branded stuff.
With that said,
Okay, so I just wanted to write these down because one of our fans who is part of the Discord wants me to add roles to the Discord and then just add them to myself.
I mean, you should, as these are all.
But I
very
just
important.
needed to get the list down.
It's fine. Well, really, it's hard because you're so ambitious. You're constantly applying for new roles that open up within the company, and you're so qualified that we have no choice but to hire you. And while I think energy levels and oversaturation might be an issue, we still have to kind of go where the talent is. We have no choice in the matter. It'd be remiss as a major corporation to do that.
But it doesn't come with a pay increase.
Well, that's a matter of personal responsibility, you see. And
So what you're saying is if we can get more people to donate to the Patreon,
yes.
we can have a pay increase.
Yes, actually. Like I know this is a bit, but yes, if we had more money, I would just give you more money. Just pay you more money for this. Yes, actually. Like that. Like that's actually like there is a whole bit here, but please understand at patreon.com/unfridays, like real talk, if you are listening to this and you do actually, the money does actually go to Bacon and Najela. Like that's actually not a joke. Like it's not.
No, it really
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Do I pay them a living wage in our hype in our high speed global economy? No, but I do pay them a chunk of what we bring in within reason. I do. So, patreon.com/unfridays. It's super transparent. I give Bacon money for food, and I give Michaela money for food, and we keep the podcast on Libsyn. That's where the money goes. So yes,
Literally where all the money goes.
yes, you
so
actually
please
will
do
get a
that.
raise. Yes, if we make more Patreon money, you will get a raise. Yes, just full stop.
So to go with my expanding roles,
Yes.
please. Do we take one-time donations? How do we do that?
You can donate for certain periods of time, certain amount of money. Like we don't have a minimum donation. I think the minimum donation is like $1,
Oh, got you. And then you can just turn it off.
and you turn it off. So people can you can donate as much as $100,000 and as little as $1. Please understand that the tone of the show, and to anyone else, if someone donates $100,000, then the tone of the show will be weighted towards that particular person because while I am a man of dignity and
I'm
do
not.
I right, so we can be bought. The price is fairly high, but if you meet it, you will get 100% of the product you paid for. So if you do, you will find that if you get a questionnaire, and we will have an entire show about the person who donated $100,000. And if they want to be anonymous, then we will tell a pseudo fictional story about their life for 45 minutes, where we will embellish where it needs to be embellished and be truthful where it needs to be truthful. And you will definitely get what you paid for if you happen to donate that.
And we'll
substantial sum.
probably they will probably have their own title. They'll be like the unseen co-host.
Oh, they will be the guiding hand. That will be
They'll be the guiding hand of the show. Like they'll get their own opening spiel
all the
every
time.
single episode.
Absolutely, $100,000 will get you full credit in the
Forever.
forever. Because don't let. We do this thing in society where we argue over $20 and leave anyone with $1 billion alone. But let me tell you, $100,000 is a life-changing amount of money. It would definitely point the barge in another direction for several of us. So, yeah. Anyway, patreon.com/unfridays. Pay for Bacon's raise, or just live forever. Like, just give us $100K and live forever. Do it. To it.
100K
Or live forever. Like I'm not. I mean, as we stare, we are all very familiar with our mortality during the end times. So do it. Make a choose your legacy, friend. Choose your legacy.
Like if we split it 3 ways, it would be a yearly rate. It would be like a yearly wage for everybody.
Right. So please do the thing. All right. We do actually have a program though.
Yes, this one is not a production meeting.
It's not a proper production meeting. There's actual programs about actual topics, starting with the game me and Bacon are both playing the latest in the Tales series. How long has it been? 25 years of Tales game? Something like that? 20 years?
1995
God damn.
is when Tales of Fantasia dropped.
So 19 years of... Yeah, 16 years of...
No, 1995 is more than 16 years ago.
God damn. Oh yeah, dude. Fuck. Man, I swear to God, there's a period of time where games when someone someone told me that Dead Space came out in 2006, and I'm like, I just played that shit like 2 years ago, and that shit slapped. And I look at the game, and it's like it's 2006. All those games are compressed into a very very clear, vivid period of gaming where I remember the things I enjoyed very clearly. Like I remember playing the Diablo 3 demo on Xbox 360. That's how clearly I remember the compressed unit of time from like 2005 to 2021. But alas, Tales series, Tales of Arise, Bacon's played it considerably more than I have. But we are both playing it. We will provide these are impressions. We will provide a proper review once Bacon's done with it, because do not depend on me to do it because I'm playing it slowly.
It'll probably be review part 1 and review part 2 like we've been doing.
Oh yeah, the game actually does have a very clearly denoted second half, right?
Yeah, but I just mean in terms of
Oh.
like how we split it up.
Oh, that's totally
'Cause-
fair.
I definitely don't want to talk about too much past where you're at, and if I do, I'm going to be super vague about it. I'm being very respectful of spoilers with this game. This isn't like the last like couple games I've been playing, and I'm just spoiling everything because either one, I know y'all aren't playing it, like, fucking The World Ends With You. Like, there's a very small section of people who are actually playing that game, and everybody else is like, I'm gonna play that game, but I already know they're not going to.
I mean,
So that's one of those games where that's fine. And then there's Mass Effect and Mass Effect Andromeda, where I'm like, I don't care. The game's been out for like years. So but this game is fresh. It's hot, fresh off the presses.
it's like 2 weeks old, isn't it?
It is 2 weeks old.
Right.
I missed a full week of gameplay due to stomach flu from hell that I'm still recovering from.
Right.
We're just calling it a stomach flu. We have no idea what it is.
Seems like we need a physician at Unreasonable Fridays, but stay tuned for that. Please continue.
No, we do. Even my doctor's like, I don't know what's going on. We might need you in for labs. Like, yeah. So, I'm currently playing my daily amount that I've got set to play, but I also have like I'm doing like double time. I'm playing overtime on Tales of Arise to get caught up on how much I missed.
Right.
I have been streaming some of it, but I'm not streaming it consistently because one, I've been sick.
Right.
And two, I really only want to stream like 3 to 4 hours a session.
Right.
Because I have jobs to apply for and things like that. So, but I also need to get through the game, so I'm playing it on and off stream. But if you want to know what the gameplay looks like, I do have streams of what's going on in the game and how the game works in the gameplay. You can also watch me die a few times. It's great.
I do find the most striking thing.
Combat does not fuck around.
I find that it actually, like, the most striking thing about the game is how it really is a really striking looking game. Like just from jump. Like Bandai Namco, they put out these anime games and they've been kind of like they've been escalating. And Scarlet Nexus looked good, and then Code Vein looked good, but this is like clearly a lot of energy is going into how much respect they have for the Tales series visually.
Well, the Tales series is one of the tops, is like the top 3, is in the top 3 of JRPG series, like actually just RPG series worldwide.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
it's not as popular in the it's not as popular in the West. Like the following isn't as big, but it is still straight up top 3. Of course, it doesn't beat the Final Fantasy series. I forgot what the second series was. Trying to remember. I can't remember.
Me
And
neither.
it's what I play too.
Oh, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about too. It's that game with like 25 games in the series. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Don't remember.
I'm gonna take to the Googles. Please continue to make your point.
But yeah, anyway, so it's a massively popular series, a little less popular in the West, but very popular, very huge in Japan. So like they absolutely take it seriously. There's also spin-offs, there's mobile games, there's manga, there's anime that they make off of the games. Like it's pretty extensive. So
Dragon
it's
Quest.
also one of those things when people call it like an anime game, it's not like they made the game and then they made animes of the game.
Right. This is it's literally appropriate. It's not a reductive title like people use when they
Right.
say anime game. Also,
Yeah,
Dragon Quest is the second one.
There we go. Thank you, Dragon Quest. I
Okay.
was like, I'm like, it's a big one. I'm like, I just can't remember. It's Dragon Quest. And then it goes Tails. So yeah, the Tails games are like some of the really big is like you know the biggest property, one of the biggest properties of Bandai Namco. And Bandai Namco's got a ton, and they each of the games have different writers.
Right.
Because they want to keep the writing pretty fresh throughout the series. Some games in the series are connected, ours are not. There's always like reoccurring themes in each Tales game, and then they're also based partially off of, they always reference like current events when the game is in development. The themes are generally pretty dark. There's generally a pretty like, you know, because again, real life current events, dark undertone, current theme to it. But then you've got like bright color anime kind of designs with magic and combat, but the themes are pretty dark. Tales of Arise deals specifically with slavery and oppression and gets into some pretty in-depth and close examinations. There's also something that I've noticed about it, like especially playing through like these later, like some of the, I can't say later chapters because I'm like halfway through the game. There's definitely like, be kind to yourself. There's definitely a lot of like, what the characters are going through is a lot, and in this game in particular, they don't try to dismiss the a lot that the characters are going through. At some points, I'm like, I feel like I'm in a therapy session.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, they don't. No one is trying to. No one is allowed to muscle through their major dysfunction yet.
Yeah,
We're
and
not-
all the characters have like severe PTSD.
Yeah. So far, I every character I've met, except for one, is a slave of some kind, or is a slave. So they all act like it. And yeah, they all act like it. So
The one character who isn't, I actually start appreciating the fact that she just stops talking when the slaves are talking.
yes.
They're like, this is what we had to live with, and she's like, quiet. I'm like, if only white people.
I mean,
They'll even like pan to her face and she's saying nothing.
it is a game about freeing, as far as I can tell, about freeing slaves, about doing away. It's about freeing slaves and liberating is it a planet or a country?
It's a planet.
Yeah, you have to liberate all last planet.
So basically, here's kind of like overall premise that's not spoilery, because the game immediately starts off with you're a slave. Like immediately.
And they do that, and they're very specific. They're like, for how long have I been a slave? For generations. Well, what is generation?
Forever.
300 years.
So there are 2 planets, 2 worlds. It's not referred to anymore as twin worlds because that is a very gross oversimplification of what's going on and does not show the power structure at all.
Right.
So there are 2 worlds. There's Rena and there's Dana, and there's this not quite world. It's like a super capital city that floats in the sky outside of Rena called Lanegas, and that there's gonna be more on that later. But the Renans used their super powerful technology to invade Dana, and not only it took over the entire world of people and put them into slavery for over 300 years. They also did just straight cultural genocide,
Right.
on top of regular genocide. There are the magic in this game is based off of something called astral energy. Astral energy is in everything. There's 6 elements: wind, water, earth, fire, and then there's light and dark. Dana produces all but dark energy, and Rena produces all but light energy. And Rena has this contest for their leader, the sovereign, and it's called the Crown Contest. And they have split Dana up into 5 elemental sections, essentially. Because Dana cannot produce dark astral energy, that they use all but dark astral energy. So each section of the world actually is set to gather that specific element of astral energy. And there's a lord that in each region that controls that region. And then the Renans will also fight each other for that position of lord. And the lord will use the astral energy. The 5 lords will use those astral energies every time there's a crown contest, all the energy that's gathered, and they'll fight each other using their assigned element, essentially. So not only are they and the energy is harvested by and from the slaves in a variety of ways. It's different for each region.
Yeah, I am in the middle of the second area of 5. And it's I'm not there. I have not figured out how they're doing it. I assume they're building up towards explaining it to me. And
they should have explained it where you're at. You might have just missed it.
If so, then they glanced over it. There was no visual explanation.
No, there was one. It just, I think you missed it.
Oh no, then I'm not where you think I am then.
Oh no, they have.
I've not seen it.
I think the explanation just missed it. It's the floodlights.
Oh, I know what it is, but they're not showing me what happens to the people inside I'm assuming that I get to see what's happening to the people inside the tower. I know what the tower is doing, but
no, that part you don't see.
Oh, they don't share that? Oh, okay.
No. They said it's just like Calaglia, where the slaves are working to death, essentially.
Right.
Okay. Except they send them to the floodlights.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah. They send them to work the floodlights.
Okay, then I do know. All right.
Yeah. It's just how they did it is different.
Okay, I thought there was gonna be a thing. That's how I'm used to a certain lack of subtlety with these things. So just like if you were telling a story about an oppressed people, then we get to find out how they're oppressed in all manner of problematic ways that bears its own discussion, for example. So yeah, this is I do know, and all right, you can carry on. I can make sure.
Yeah. So, and of course, because there's 5 different lords, each lord uses a completely different method, which I'm not going to get into because it's spoilers.
Right.
It's specifically the 3rd and 4th one that are like the really big spoilers, and Aaron's about to hit those areas, so I'm like,
Well,
cannot.
absolutely do not know. I find
Um,
this is actually one of the few games where I actually do not want to know what's going to happen. And usually I'm one of those heathens that do not mind if you spoil a story, because spoilers will actually make me want to turn back around and watch the story that you just told me the ending to, or the narrative beats to. But this one, for some reason, I am very much invested in what is happening and just seeing it unfurl linearly for me personally, and that's rare. I cannot recall the last time I played a game I did not want to know the narrative to. I think like Arkham Knight maybe or something moons ago. Yeah.
So Tales also has Tales games also have more than one protagonist in general. And you can control. In most games, I think Tales of Legendia is different, but in most of them, you can choose who your front-facing character is, and then who your combat leader is. And this is like one of 2 Tales games in the entire series that doesn't have combat multiplayer or multiplayer mini games in it,
Mm-hmm.
which is disappointing, but it be how it be.
Do you think
Right.
the game suffers for it as a person that's played all of them?
Because I'm playing it on my computer, like I'm playing it single player on my computer, and I would be regardless. It doesn't suffer for me, but it does mean that like I don't have roommate bonding time.
Ah, okay.
So, there's people who are like, brother and sister or like best friends who will play this game couch co-op and have played all the Tales games couch co-op. They're really upset about it.
Oh, all right, noted. I think the only thing worth left mention is the combat system, which is
I have a little bit more. I'm not done.
oh, there's more. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So the main protagonist is Alphen, who is a slave who he has a mask on his face, and he doesn't remember his, like when you meet him, he doesn't remember his name, but like 5 hours in you get his name, so it's not really that big of a that's like the softest of spoilers. So yeah, he has an iron mask over his face. He is first just called Iron Mask. He doesn't feel any pain whatsoever. He has my nigga has no pain receptors. And does not remember anything about his past. So the furthest back he remembers is about a year when he woke up in Calaglia. This region is fire with Lord Balsaf. This is the first region. He woke up like about a year ago, and like that's all he knows. He is a slave, and this is all he knows. And the female protagonist, the main female protagonist, is Shion, who is a Renin, who is fighting against Renins for reasons. She was specifically like locked up even when you find her, and her body is covered in dark energy thorns that react when anybody touches her. It's not something she can control. It's pretty much a curse. So these 2 end up getting forced, like they end up working together, and they team up with the local resistance group and want to liberate Danins, and Shion wants to overthrow the 5 lords for quote reasons unquote. like I mentioned, each of the characters there's 5 characters. I'm pretty sure it's just 5 characters that you unlock. I don't think there's any more. And if there are, they're spoilers and I have not encountered any of them. But there's like 5 characters and 6 characters, and all of them have PTSD. Literally all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the game has, like I said, themes of slavery and oppression, and it goes beyond just a liberation narrative. There's a lot of like what happens after, which is something that a lot of games with like Resistance, etc., don't even touch on. There's a lot of what after, and also how to process information, like how to process your traumas, and it asks a lot of complicated questions, which I'm also glad that the game doesn't go like thoroughly in depth about, because this is also a Japanese company. And if it went too far in depth and to be like, this is how it should be, I would be like, no. We are putting the game now.
I mean, I am curious. I am intrigued. Like, what? Tell me more about slavery, Japan. Tell me more about how you feel about an oppressive slave state, Japan. Just let it all out. Just be honest. Be brutally honest here. Share those thoughts. So yeah.
I know, like, one thing that they definitely like, and it's not every character that does this, because each character has like their own thoughts and feelings on things.
Man.
And not. And they specifically, like, you know, point out that, like, not all the characters' viewpoints are wrong. Like, they're just different. So differing viewpoints doesn't equal wrong necessarily.
Right.
But they are, like, very different ideologies. And, you know, one thing that they try to, you know, something that comes up a lot is you can't, like, lay the weight of an entire society on one person, and vice versa. And and of course, like, I'm sitting here going, I understand what you're saying. I respectfully disagree. But I also understand what you're saying.
I heard the one I don't know if it comes up more than once, but one character had mentioned it, and Erica and I's response was, "Yes, the fuck you can."
I think I know exactly the conversation with you and Erica, and like the context of it, I think matters.
Yes.
Like the context of the conversation, like
yes.
Shion specifically, is like in that. No, this person specifically is not responsible.
Oh no, but you're gonna hear about my life of slavery though. Like you're gonna hear about the slavery. Like, you know, like, I'm not gonna hold you responsible. We're not gonna fight about it, but you're gonna hear about it.
Right, exactly. So it's definitely one of those things of like, you have to listen.
Yes.
And she does. She actually, like, it's one of those things where she's just like, especially when you've got like, because it comes a point where there's literally 3 former slaves sitting around talking about how they were, you know, talking about their life in slavery. Like, what are you gonna do? Argue with them? What are you gonna do? Like, no, I'm sorry. Your people, like, okay, so your people were specifically forced into labor until they died and were beaten and whipped and like whatnot all. These people, in order to protect themselves, were forced to like rat out on each other.
Yep.
And send them to labor camps.
Yes.
And this other person, I can't tell you what they went through, but it is equally horrific. So it's just like, yes, please tell me about how not all Renans. Thank you.
Well,
and so one thing too with each of the lords as well is that they do talk about like different kinds of oppression, like different kinds of like um I don't want to say different like I don't want to say different kinds of slavery, but like
Aspects of
different tactics
angles?
used to oppress people.
Ah, there you go.
So like this I can say because I'm not saying who or where. One group, they don't know how to think for themselves.
Huh.
They were oppressed to the point where they literally cannot think for themselves. The ability to think for themselves was like completely tortured out of them as a people. They only know how to respond to commands.
That's terrible.
Right.
Oh dear.
Right. And so of course, like, you know, one of the things is too is after you defeat a lord, like what do you do with the people? And you know, they touch on this after the first region too, where they're like, these people have been in slavery for 300 years.
Right.
They like, what do we do now?
Well, you know, classic, a little bit of capitalism.
I'm like, so it's not, it goes beyond even like, you know, forms of government because like they don't have one.
Right.
Like it goes even beyond that. It just goes like,
quite literally, what do we do? Like, what the fuck? Like, what do we do?
What do we do?
Right. Like, what, like, literally tomorrow, what do we do after we wake up? Like, I understand what you're saying. Like,
Right.
We don't have any, like, literally everything we've been doing for generations, no relevance and no longer exists. So,
Right. And they have, and because the Renans perform mass cultural genocide, they don't even have histories of their people.
right.
So they don't have their histories. They don't even know what a Danon government looks like.
Right. They don't even know what happened before to know what to do tomorrow.
Right. They don't even know. So it really is just like, and what now? So, and like the game doesn't ignore the what now question, which is what I really appreciate.
Okay.
So away from narrative themes, now we can go on to mechanical themes.
Combat's very strong.
Combat's so good.
It's probably the best action. It's probably the best. Now, it's the best combat in any Tales game I've played. Now, is it the best combat in any Tales game you've played?
This is a really hard question.
That's why I'm asking.
So, Tales games have always been a combination of real time and earlier they had some turn-based parts to it, and you can still actually activate like some of the turn-based stuff. Like you can if you set it on manual, you can like really kind of take control of all the characters. I prefer semi-automatic because I just don't want that level of I like controlling my casters in Tales games sometimes. But this is the first Tales game where I like playing as the caster. Actually, no, it's my second. In Tales of Destiny 2, I controlled Melody a lot. So I usually do one of the more combat-y classes. And every Tales game, there's a character that uses so all the different fighting styles are the same in each Tales game.
Right.
Which is kind of nice because like I have abilities that I'm both recognizing and unlocking from literally Tales of Phantasia, which is the first game in 1995. So there's always like, I always feel like every time I use Sonic Thrust, I'm just like, yes, I know this attack. But there's always like a pole arm, you know, a fighter, caster, etc. And it's never the same through each game. So like one of the protagonists is actually like the scrawny, nerdy type that actually punches the shit out of you. He doesn't use a sword. So the way the characters are in each game is completely different, which is really nice.
A character, his name is Law. And I was like,
Law.
right. And as a Tekken fan, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I looked at his character, and it's literally called the Master of the Iron Fist. And I go, oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, I see you there. I see you back there. I see you back there. So.
Yeah, this one has a lot of shout out. This one has even more shout outs to old Bandai Namco games than Tales of Berseria had, which was impressive.
I find it interesting is the call outs will catch you across the entire spectrum of Bandai Namco games, because I haven't played the same game that you've played. So what you're noticing is different than what I'm noticing. And it is very amusing just how many callbacks.
Well, even in some of the skits are inside jokes if you've played like Tekken. Or old Tales games.
Right.
Some of them like directly reference old games.
That's the truth.
You start at some point collecting these things called artifacts, and artifacts basically do add-ons to your game that make things kind of like easier. Like one of them like gives you across the board a +1 damage, and another makes it so you have 2 combat art sets, which if you're controlling a character you only have one art set. So you have like 3 abilities that you can use when you're standing on the ground, and then you have like 3 abilities that you can use midair.
Right.
And then this artifact adds it so that you have 2 sets that you can use on ground, which is 6 abilities on ground, and 2 sets that you can use in the air, which is 6 abilities on air. In air. And I was just like, thank you God, because I have like 500 abilities now.
Yes. You have so many moves in the game.
The way that moves work, and this has been historically throughout all the Tales games, is that so you have like basic combat arts, which are like your special skills that you can use. And if you use one of them a lot, it unlocks different stages of higher level attacks. And then once you start using those higher level of attacks, those unlock further higher level of attacks. So like your beginning attack, if you use your beginning attack like 500 times, you unlock the Omega version of that attack. And so it really does mean that like you need to like max out all of your abilities. And some of them you don't need to max out.
Right.
And and the more you use them, like their rating goes up, and both the potency and what the attack does expands. So for instance, Rinwell has this ability which I didn't like at first, but now I am in love with it. It's called Lightning Wall. And it just creates a little wall of lightning around you. At 3 stars, that wall of lightning spreads the fuck out. Like it starts like this little wall of lightning around you, and then it just expands. Like it expands on the field and captures everybody in it. So I'll just like run in the middle, use that, bounce out, like jump air, throw wind attacks away. I'm like, bye. It's great. But about combat, to answer your question, each Tales game combat wise builds upon the previous combat style. So for me, since I've played all the Tales games, it's a really smooth transition.
Right.
So I'm like, I've enjoyed that. One of the things I love about the Tales game is the combat has always been good. But because it's always a steady evolution, I can't tell you what my favorite is, because it's a very like distinct progression as you keep going. So like technically the combat now is like the best it's ever been, but I couldn't tell you what my favorite is, because it's just the combat has always felt good, which is why I enjoyed playing them.
All right. Well, that's a very telling answer. Very good answer. We will have more going forward. Proper review. This is just impressions. This is just a very passionate Tales fan and someone who doesn't like Tales as much as you like. Objectively, I'm not as much of a Tales fan as you are. I've missed a handful of games in the series and respect it and enjoy it. And yeah, so we will have more as time passes, especially since it's a full price game. It is not an indie game or a Game Pass game.
It's
So
worth
the
its
game,
money, though.
the game is definitely coming at you pretty hot at a full $59.99. I have no regrets, but we got to talk about it. Like I said, the price scale does affect what I'm talking about and whom, and how I interact with the audience about it. So, the same thing with Alien Fireteam Elite. That was a game that cost money. So how I effectively recommended it changed because ain't nobody got no money. So just being respectful there.
I'm definitely, first off, this game isn't going to go on sale for a while. So
I think Black Friday will be fine. Those Namco Bandai games that they go on sale pretty regularly.
no, Tales games have a very Bandai Namco has a sales formula with their games. Tales of Arise will not go on sale for a very long time.
I'd like to see that. I would be amazed if they didn't.
It just doesn't. Like Tales of Berseria didn't go on sale for like 2 years.
Right, but it's not. It's a different time. Everything is on sale. The only game.
They won't do it with. They don't do it with their opening game until all their DLC is done, and then they do a rebundle package at the same full price.
I will keep a track on Black Friday because I believe I've never known a game to not go on sale in the age of the Steam/Microsoft Store massive sale bombardation that we live under. That I would love to see it. I will.
It's not going under $50. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, that's fine. That's still a sale. Like I'm not saying it's gonna be $20. I'm saying it's gonna be not.
That's
60.
what because I like a lot of people when they're telling me they'll get it when it goes on sale do mean $20-$30. This game is not going under $50.
Oh no, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's fine. It took about a year for Code Vein to go under $40 and then for it to pop up on Game Pass and stuff. So
that formula is different for Tales games.
Right. Oh yeah, that's fine. When I mean sale, I mean not full price.
So
$39.99 is still a sale. It's still a sale, even if the game is $59.99.
Yeah, this one has 1 been long awaited, 2 is really good, and 3 like they just don't do big sales on like their leading properties.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like with it. It's like expecting a Nintendo first party to go on like one of their big games to go on sale.
And those games don't go on sale.
Right. They go on a 10% sale like once every blue moon.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's interesting. That's actually I'm interested to actually hear about what other people think sales count as. A price reduction is a sale to me. There are big sales where the game is just straight up cheap. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like literally, the game is just not as much as it was and allows you to get it at any manner of discount. And certain games like Activision games, apparently the Tales games, Bandai Namco games actually. They've been very stingy with everything. They're still stingy with like Tekken.
Right. No, Bandai Namco doesn't drop their prices often.
Right.
And when they do drop it, it's not on their leading properties unless there's a new one that's out.
Right. So
like the previous games, like Berseria is cheaper now.
Right.
Which is great because I don't think I have the PC version. I can get the PC version. But and like the ones, even the ones before that one, they're cheaper now as well. Like hella cheap. Arise is not happening to Arise. So
it's gonna be.
But I do want to say I think it is like even if you don't finish the game, even if you put like only 40 hours into it, I think it's worth the $60.
That's bold. It's bold.
I don't know. It's a game that makes you think. And the combat's good, and the skits are good, and this is like I think it's the first Tales game where the skits are voice acted.
Here's the deal. It's bold. I'm not going to take you off of this opinion. I'm not going to suggest otherwise. I actually think Tales is very good. I have no regrets having paid $60 for it. But in saying that you fully support other people getting a $60 game, it is inherently a bold take that you're standing next to. And I'm standing tentatively behind you in the bushes on that. I'm not there yet. So there you go. More to come. What else is to say here? So we got the weird shuffling and squirming of Activision. It's like some people call it the collapse, but I'm like, no, they're not collapsing. They are squirming, and it is weird because it's like,
they're not collapsing, but they are hemorrhaging.
right, and their total collapse is what we should be looking for as modern consumers. But yeah, so it's like it's hemorrhaging, weird squirming and twitching. It's just it's ugly. And then there was the Nintendo Direct that happened yesterday that I watched on a whim, and it cost me $20 because Bacon is a dick. And
I didn't do anything.
We are fucking social commentators, journalists, hardworking, and experts, leaders of our industry. So when you say, "Hey,"
okay,
Nintendo
first off,
Direct is,
we were mid-production meeting, and I went, I think there's a Nintendo Direct that's today.
what am I supposed to do?
And Aaron went, today or right now? And I said, I don't know. And then he went, oh, it's on right now. And then he put it on.
I am a professional of the highest caliber. And I think if the opportunity to learn about the world, to learn about the news cycle, to become a part of our fast-paced global economy comes up, I will involve myself as per my job. That's what I'm supposed to do here. So you say there's a Nintendo Direct, and I go, oh, well, and walk away having not responded to you. I'm remiss. I'm derelict in my duties. I mean, we're trying to get 100K here. This is not how you get 100K, is ignoring Nintendo Directs when someone tells you that they're here. So I put it on. I found it. I put it on. There's a lot happening. It was costly, but it was enjoyable. And I have different notes than Bacon. I think like things that stuck out. Biggest thing that stuck out to me overall was that they're gonna rope a Nintendo 64 emulator and a Sega Genesis emulator into there.
What are you talking about? That's on my notes.
I'm not saying it's not there. I'm saying it's some things of different importance. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like the fact that I ran out and bought Castlevania immediately. That's what I mean. It's just different. It's different priorities. It's numbered differently. Number 1 was Castlevania, but since I own that, number 2 is the emulator, the N64 Sega Genesis emulator, woven into the online Switch thing. That is it. They're weaving that in there. Handful of games, proper Sega Genesis emulator, proper Nintendo 64 emulator. They said it will cost a little bit more on your Switch Online subscription. What I hope happens is I can switch because I don't like my Super Nintendo. Kind of would love to swap it out for a Genesis on my console. That'd be great.
I mean, there are some specific games that Super Nintendo games that I really, really, really thoroughly enjoy because Super Nintendo had the RPGs.
Yeah.
And Genesis did not have the RPGs.
Bite your goddamn tongue. Had some RPGs.
It didn't. That's my only gripe. Like
Listen,
I had 2 complete. Listen.
There are RPGs on that console.
No, there aren't.
Yeah, there were. I literally there are RPGs in this Mega Drive Classic Collection. There are like 4 or 5 of them. They were there. They were there.
RPGs.
Now were they as popular?
No, I'm not. I don't care about popularity.
Then obviously, because you didn't know they were there. If they were more popular, you would know they were there.
Like, even in my emulator days, I was just like, I will play all the Sega games. I'm just saying that, like, the good Sega, like, all the, like, the best genre on the Sega Genesis was all the fucking platformers.
Yes,
They
I'm not
were
saying
so-
RPGs were the best. They're the best genre. Yes, you're absolutely right. If you're saying the best genre represented on the console, yes, it was.
Right. So, like, every good platformer and side scroller is on the fucking Genesis. All of the good RPGs are on the Super Nintendo. And
Oh.
do I just want some like mesh of both so I can have both worlds and just not have like 50 different systems? Cause like I was just like RPG machine, side scroll platformer and beat 'em up machine, also fighting game machine. What I do? So, but I can have them together on my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
why
good. It's clean.
Nintendo Switch is superior.
It's very good. I like my Nintendo Switch. It's providing a unique gameplay experience. Like, I just really kind of like it. And I didn't realize how much I would enjoy being involved in what I can purchase from, like, those Nintendo Directs. Like, when they said Sega Genesis and N64 emulators on, I was like, oh, that's me. Oh, hey, that's cool. Okay. And I was ready.
Everybody needs a Nintendo Switch.
Let me look at the list of games, please. Hold up the crowd with some DJing. I'm gonna look at the list of games that are for Sega Genesis on the Switch. Let's see. Well, when I say hold up the crowd, I mean you can start playing some music. You can start telling some jokes. You know,
I'm not good at crowd control.
You can take, you know, like the whole do some hacky stuff. Take my wife, that type of shit. Do it.
I'm not. That's not something I'm good.
Hacky.
That's-
Do some hack jokes. We all have hack jokes. Watch.
I don't have hack jokes.
Watch. I saw somebody in a pink shirt the other day, and then he's wearing a pink shirt. What a guy! Am I right, guys? Am I right? See that shit? There you go. You did it. There you go. You can do that.
No, you did it.
You can do that. Anywho,
No. I specifically can't.
Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Echo the
I
Dolphin.
love Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
For the record, the people who love Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine are the most enthusiastic. Well, like they've got to be top 10 enthusiastic fandom. No one who likes Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine does not immediately start yelling.
It's a good game.
I'm not saying I've played a lot of it in my life. I have. But I just noticed that when people like it and you bring it up, I remember I was scrolling through someone's emulator and I said, oh, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. And they said, you played Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. We have to play it right now. And then we played it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And that is it. And then like other people in the house were like, oh, you play Dr. Robot? And it was just like, you like those old stock photos of like in the early 90s of game consoles with everyone huddled up around the TV and they do the family thing. That was it really happened because of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Passionate fandom. If you're listening, just tweet exclamation points at something. The UN Fridays on Twitter, ANS Freeman, is it Mecha Baconzilla?
No, it's just Baconzilla, but with like numbers.
Before C0 N ZILLA. Just tweet exclamation points so that you don't have to hold in that guttural scream that someone mentioned Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
We love it. We love it. Echo the Dolphin, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes.
Oh God, Echo the Dolphin, so I can be terrified and live through Echo the Dolphin trauma.
I gotta figure out, like, Echo the Dolphin was a game that even as I got older, I never it's the least intuitive game.
So unintuitive.
It's the least intuitive game.
So
like
scary.
As an old, I think the lack of intuition. I maintained Echo the Dolphin is survival horror.
It is a survival.
It's a survival horror game. Like the confusion that you take hours into the game experience. I assume that's intentional and it works.
There's aliens and monsters and they've abducted your family.
Yeah. And you are out of your depth. That's a funny joke. Hey, see, you can do this too, Bacon. You got this.
That was you.
And yeah. It's survival horror classic Echo the Dolphin, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Musha, Phantasy Star 4, Ristar. One of the top 5 platformers of all time. Shining Force, Shinobi 3, Sonic 2, Streets of Rage, and Strider. More games to come, obviously.
They named Ristar. I'm gonna go play Ristar.
Listen, I have the old Sega Mega Drive collection from a few years ago, and Ristar. I played that for 5 minutes, and I was like, "Why the fuck are people not talking about Ristar?" And then that was me being remiss because I mentioned Ristar, and then you were like, "Oh," and then you opened my ear canal and screamed Ristar into my brain because you grew up with it.
Literally my favorite Sega Genesis game.
Right.
It's probably my favorite Sega property.
I do not blame you. That is a very, very, very strong.
It's a very good game.
Yeah.
It was back when there's like Blockbusters and movie rentals, like, because I didn't own the game, but every single week when they're like, okay, you can get a movie or a game, because that shit was like game rentals were super expensive.
Oof, shit.
So like I would like, how about a movie and a game? And they're like, one or the other. Every single week, I would grab Ristar. I never owned the game. I would, every time we went to go rent, I would always grab that game.
As a question, when you used to rent video games, did you have to put down a deposit? Or did you rent from like Blockbuster? Because I realized growing up, my rental store was like the neighborhood rental store. And I used to put down a deposit based on the game. So I'd put down like a certain amount of money, and then they would just hand it back to me when I handed them the game. Was that? Now I realized that might have been weird because I just had a local video store. I don't know if that was normal. Like when I got things from Blockbuster, there was no deposit, but the rentals were actually expensive. So
we had to do a deposit at first, but over time you didn't have to do a deposit because you were a regular.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's usually how it went. Yeah, after a few years, he stopped jamming me up. Okay, but he also knew where I lived, so it was like, at some point, if it came down to it, he could find me and my mom. He could find my family and knock on the door and be like, "Can your boy give back my copy of Mega Man X, please? Can you return my copy of Mega Man X to me right here around the corner? Thanks, Miss Freeman." Or more so, he'd knock on the door and I'd have to act like I don't hear him, but then my mom would answer the door and blow up my whole ass spot. But that's neither here nor there. On Nintendo 64, it is a little sparse. Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Yoshi's Story, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So, I am not a big Nintendo 64 fan. The Nintendo 64 is not as formative in my existence as it was for other people. Right.
I didn't have one.
I did not. I was very familiar. The thing I played the most on it was NFL Blitz. And there was an old shooter called Winback that I enjoyed. It was like a cover shooter, but it was very much more like a light gun shooter with a controller. It's very interesting. But yeah.
Was Turok the dinosaur game?
Yes, Turok was the dinosaur game, yes.
I played a lot of Turok.
Which one?
Turok.
The first one or the second one?
Oh.
Yeah, the second one I also enjoyed.
One of my brother's friends would always bring an N64 over, and I played the shit out of Turok and Turok 2.
Yeah, Turok 2 slapped like a motherfucker. Yeah, Turok and Turok 2 were also released on like Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and got remastered and stuff. Remastering an N64 game doesn't change the fidelity. There was like, N64 is part of the dark pixel era where you can't fix this. You have to remake the game, but you cannot remaster, because we're now at the point where you can remaster like an Alan Wake or a God of War 2, for example, and it will look right. But during the dark period of polygon graphics, those games were irredeemable. You have to make it again.
It is kind of interesting because I don't think people actually realize that either, because somebody was saying that they hope that someone would do like a remaster of like one of those bit games from like Super Nintendo, but with the Octopath engine, and I'm like, that's a remake.
Yeah, that's a remake. Dude. Yeah, that's
You would have to remake the game.
those yeah, we some of the graphics that we have now, even in terms of pixel art graphics, are substantial leaps. And some of the in certain no, we're not.
I'm like like
They got to do it
please
again.
learn the difference between a remaster and a remake.
Yeah, they can. In some game, and like I said, there is a certain era of graphics where, because I was looking back, there was a video someone posted of like PlayStation 1 launch titles like Ridge Racer, Tekken, Battle Arena, Toshinden, Jumping Flash. And I was looking at all of them and I was like, well, fuck.
They were able to remaster Final Fantasy IX, but it was towards the end of the PS1 life.
Right. That had that was it. There is a spot there right at the end of the PlayStation 1 where the best looking PlayStation games still hold up. The Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah, like because what they really, I mean, it's hard to do now. It's starting to happen. Like it still kind of happens, but like what would happen is like towards the end of the console life, they would try to the games that would max out the system's capability would come out.
Yes.
So like I will always forever quote like Odin Sphere is like the last great PS2 game.
That's about right.
That shit made my PS2 lag.
Yeah.
Like there's like a certain boss fight that would always just trip it up because there was so much going on. But yeah, like if the game on the PS1 was not part of like the last great PS1 game eras before they moved to PS2, where the PS2 came out, it's a no-go. It has to get remade.
Right. And the same applies to vast majority of N64 games. Some of them hold up pretty good. Doom 64, for example, still holds up, but it's not polygon. It's not polygon. It's just like the old Doom style with more storage, more space for it, higher fidelity version of like Doom 1 and 2. But yeah, that is that. That is what I got. There is a Kirby game that you told me about that I didn't realize even know. I did not even note the Kirby game. That was you said it was a proper open world exploration game.
Yeah, it'll be it looks in the similar vein as Super Mario Odyssey, where it's technically a 3D platformer, but it feels more open world.
Right.
And so you're gonna be going around in post-apocalyptic Kirby land. It's Kirby in the Forgotten Land.
Kirby is my I'm not a I don't vibe very much with Nintendo characters. A lot of them I don't have the same connection to them that a lot of folks do. Kirby is my favorite. Kirby and Luigi. And then like that's it. And I guess Zelda, but like the question of whether Zelda's a character now in Smash Brothers, but she's never been like a character you play as. Hint hint, complain. And so yeah, that's those three. So I'm very excited to play as Kirby. Also I think he's the most powerful video game character in existence. So there's that. There was that argument years ago about who the most powerful character is, and it's always Kirby. Always Kirby. Forever. He can eat your favorite character and then gain their strength. All of them. Every single one of them.
He is the best.
It's just objectively the most powerful.
No, I think that's actually kind of confirmed.
I mean, I people have this argument. That's what I thought it was confirmed, but there's an argument, and like there's like just there's no argument to how powerful Kirby is.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like Sailor Moon versus Goku arguments. We all know it's Sailor Moon,
right? But I realize folks very similarly to Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z argument is they're not familiar with the actual powers. Some people, I think folks think Kirby just like eats and consume some things to gain some power, when in fact he can consume everything and gain all the power. And the only reason,
Like specifically he can consume literally anything.
anything, and
Literally anything, and gain power from it.
yeah,
My nigga is eating galaxies.
that was my favorite. There was an ending to a Kirby game where he ate the universe. He ate the game to fire a laser at the boss and eradicate the boss. And then it was just like, then like the universe kind of had to like start over. That was when I knew. I was like, oh, he literally just hit this nigga with the universe at large, like reality. He hit him with reality, existence. You understand the enormity. First of all, I think it was overkill. Like, I feel like Mario and his brother could have handled that without consuming reality. But I appreciate Kirby for his air for the theatrics.
I don't even think it's theatrics. Kirby just doesn't have power control.
I mean,
Well, no, he has too much. He's a baby.
and listen, somewhere along the line, he's gotta get it together. We don't need to consume reality for anything. I'm not saying.
I think Kirby's actually a baby.
Is Kirby still a baby?
I don't think Kirby ever stopped being a baby. We don't know how old Kirby's grow up to be.
Is it one Kirby or is it like multiple Kirbys?
I think it's one Kirby.
Has this been the same Kirby forever?
Yeah. We don't. Kirby's could live for like 1,000 years.
I feel like our relationship with Kirby, as he is the alpha and the omega, should change just as people. Like, we really are kind of living because Kirby is kind of letting us cook. And it's really important that we acknowledge that as we go forward, just in our daily lives. Just give a nod, just pour out a little liquor for Kirby when you have the opportunity to let him know that you see him and he's not consuming our existence. Thanks for that, Kirby. Thank you, Kirby. Also, Bayonetta 2 got announced.
No, Bayonetta 3.
3. I need to play 2. I was just playing 2.
3.
3, yes.
And the bitch is riding kaiju. So, and she's got pigtails.
Yeah, I'm a
her
true-
outfit is so cute, and so is her hair, and she's out here riding kaiju.
Well, it escalates. And yeah, I deeply enjoy Bayonetta. So I had gotten my Switch. I had gotten my Switch for I got a Switch as a present with a totally other motive in mind, like to play Monster Hunter. But privately, the first game I downloaded was Bayonetta. Like, the very first thing that happened, like, I was like, can I get Bayonetta? And then I set that to download, and then I went about the business of actually, like, organizing the new console and learning how things worked. Like, I believe I had Bayonetta set to download before I had installed any Joy-Cons of any kind. So, I'm very, 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 very excited for Bayonetta.
Speaking of Joy-Cons, they also said with like the N64 and Sega Genesis is that they're also releasing N64 and Genesis controllers, so you can play the games just like as they originally were released.
Oh, very nice.
I don't like the N64 controller. Not gonna lie.
It's funny. It's iconic, but not good. Like, some people who really like it, like, remember it fondly, but it's not a good controller. Like, to
listen,
use.
The best controller was the GameCube controller.
Oh, the GameCube controller. Ooh, shit. I think that might be the best controller of all time.
You can get it. Like, they made GameCube controllers for the Nintendo Switch.
Right, but
like
there's nothing.
Nintendo property ones.
Right, there's just I feel like those controllers are for Smash. Like, just personally, like the GameCube controller.
The Smash community at large would be very upset if there were no more.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, there's no Nintendo Switch game that I feel needs the GameCube controller. And I feel like if I were to get the GameCube controller, I would specifically require Smash Brothers.
I would probably play Zelda games with it.
Yeah, I would need to. I mean, I could use it. Like, the GameCube controller had the best plastic of any controller I've ever held. It had
Plastic still feels good.
Right. It had this infinite space plastic that felt good to play over huge periods of time. It felt good. The analog stick, the trigger buttons, the actual feel of the controller felt overwhelmingly sturdy. Like it just, I don't know, like it does seem like Nintendo went on a limb to make sure that the actual material that the controller is made out of was top notch in a way that no other company has done since. And
controller is single-handedly the best controller.
It just feels like the best controller. And also it is as a person who likes mechanical keyboard sounds, who likes wooden arcade cabinet noises, it is the best sounding controller of all time. I used to come up when New York, when you could actually rent you could have a LAN center in New York. They would have the Smash Brothers, people playing Smash Brothers, and those controllers was dominating. No matter how loud Halo had become, no matter how many people were playing Halo, you could always hear the people playing Smash Brothers clacking away on their GameCube controllers, and I love that sound so much. Everyone else hated it. Like the amount of parents we woke up, the amount of noise complaints because there were four niggas playing Smash Brothers for 6 hours a night. But I loved it, and it just GameCube controller is absolutely superb. I'm trying to every few months I have to talk myself down from just buying one for no reason. Just to play, like I never dock my Switch. I use it as a 100% portable console, just to have a GameCube controller to periodically touch the buttons and fiddle around with it. So yes, best controller ever. Fight me, fight us. Is there anything else that that popped up I didn't track? Oh yeah, the Mario movie.
I'm ignoring it until it comes out, and then I'm gonna wait for the reviews on that. Actually, I'm gonna wait for Justin's opinion on that one, because I'm sure it'll be both. Justin has my favorite way of diplomatically tearing down things. Like he like tries his best to be like, this is like the most polite way that I can say that this is terrible. So I'm just gonna wait for him. It is my favorite thing that he does, his polite takedowns of stuff. It's great. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Until then, it doesn't exist.
I saw Chris Pratt as Mario.
Yeah.
And we're good.
I think Jack Black is Bowser, which I'm intrigued about.
Jack Black can just use I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought Jack Black would be a good Mario. He's extremely talented. It seems like
Jack Black is so talented.
It seems like a natural fit for him to be Mario. But like I said, we're riding this Chris Pratt train to the last stop. We're all just like, the doors are closed, the doors are locked, the windows are closed. You can't go between cars. We're riding this Chris Pratt fucking train to the last stop.
Isn't Keenan Key Toad?
Yes.
How do you voice act Toad?
The thing I imagine, based on how these characters have sounded historically, we won't know who these voice actors are without the credits.
Right, that's why I'm like
and
granted, this is animated, so I'm just very like, I know Toad has spoken before.
Yes.
But I mean, he does have a pretty good falsetto.
In the interest of chaos, as we sometimes do pursue it for chaos' sake, the only way any of this would slap is if they didn't have anyone make a voice. Like if they did the Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu thing, and they just let Chris Pratt be Mario and Michael Keegan was Toad. Like it was like they're not making Nintendo character voices. These people are these characters. That would be the chaos that I desire personally in life.
Oh my god, the Detective Pikachu one. I love that movie though.
Detective Pikachu was great.
That movie was so good.
Like I said, I'm curious to see whether they have if they're going to be cowards, if they have the intestinal fortitude to dare to do it. You know? to do it. I don't think they're gonna do that. They're obviously gonna have Mario like it's me, and Toad's gonna be me. That's gonna be a lot of that back and forth, which I don't necessarily want to hear for a coherent narrative. Again, as someone who was not raised on Mario, that sounds like gibberish. Them talking to each other sounds like nonsense. And if Mario didn't have all 6 Infinity Stones, I wouldn't care what he does. But
I literally don't. I'm a Bowser fan.
I think Mario's an government op. Like I think he's a government. I think he's a Fed. Because
he's totally a Fed.
He's a Fed. I don't care what anybody says. The entire Bowser Mushroom Kingdom thing just sounds like the same shit they tell us when they go into third world air quote countries for American interests. I think the story goes they sent him in to liberate the princess, air quotes. And we were all like, oh, save that white woman from that turtle. That's fucking weird, bro. Save that white woman. That's his fucking wife, dude. Like, they're cool. And we sent in Mario, and I think he found like one of the Infinity Stones, and he went rogue. Like, that's a whole fucking. That's why it's under wraps, because they sent him in there.
Are you saying that Mario's the CIA that planted crack in Bowser's castle?
I'm saying that they didn't have to, because they're all fucking lizards and turtles. Like, it's easy, right? So they're just like, look at that turtle with that white woman, and it's like, bro, that's their wedding photo. Look at that lizard turtle with that white woman. Someone should save her. And it's like, bro, like she's like in his Corvette, like they're happy, dude. Like, look at her Instagram. Anywho, we need to get her out of there. We're gonna send our best man, and they send fucking Mario, and I think Mario found like an Infinity Stone there. They didn't want him to find it. They just wanted to have him go in there and probably not survive, but then they could send in more troops. So if they send in Mario trying to save that white woman and they kill him, then they have an excuse to send in more people. And Mario survived. And Mario found like one of the Infinity Stones, and off he went. And he went super fucking rogue. That's why him and Luigi don't fuck with each other like that, because he went super rogue. And
you're right, because at some point Luigi's like,
no, dude, that's why he just fights ghosts. Like, Luigi ain't about that. Like Mario won off. He found like, I think around Mario Galaxy he found like 4 of those fucking stones, and Luigi's like, nah, chill, you wildin'. And he's like, listen, you're my brother, I'm not gonna stop you because I can't. You're my brother, I love you, but I can't be involved with this. Like, what you're doing here, this is too much power for one dude to be having. And Mario went off for Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Found all 6 stones. That's the only explanation for Mario Odyssey, for the love of fucking God. And off he went, and Luigi just fights ghosts. Like I said, that Luigi was the one that could have stopped it, and he didn't, and I don't blame him. It's his brother. It's bigger than even fucking time stones. Mario was an op though, 100%. So he's a Fed. Mario he's a government op. It just got out of hand. That's why we never hear about it. They couldn't send anybody, and Mario found what he wasn't supposed to find, and went off on adventures he wasn't supposed to go on. And then he found all 6 Infinity Stones, and now they're just, what can you do now? It's too late.
I am going to. This is going to be the first video I put on my TikTok. that whole entire it's gonna be
Listen,
the first.
If you look at the chronology of the Mario games, that's how it works. And that's why even Yoshi's Island makes sense, that he found the time stone and fucked up. That's why baby Mario is getting saved by the lizards. He's fortunate. It's true. It's truly, like I said, he is. Now he has.
Mario.
What is that?
Mario is a traitor. He was raised by lizards.
I don't think he was a traitor. I think he just tasted power. They sent him in there. It's like there are lots of shooting games where that's the narrative, where like the shoot 'em up games, right? Where they send in like one ship to get blown up for whatever reason. I've played about 4 or 5 of them where the narrative is you're not supposed to survive this mission, but you did. I think that's the same thing for the original Mario brother. He was not supposed to. It was one of their best guys. He was not supposed to make it. And when one of your best guys dies in the Mushroom Kingdom, you can send everybody in there. Fucking comb the land. Find what you need to find. But he survived. Now, was that?
I mean, he was a baby.
When he was a baby? Oh, he just got lucky. He fucked up. That was the closest he came to failure. He fucked up with the time stone, turned himself into a baby. It was a baby. No, when he fucked up. He fucked up with the time stone, turned himself into a baby, and those lizard Yoshi saved him.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he fucked up with the time zone.
He fucked up with the time zone.
I got it. And then the Yoshis are just trying to like do a good deed. They're like, here's this baby. We can't just let this baby be like this. We gotta save them. Use our Yoshi powers to do it.
Right. It was generally manipulative because Mario is a federal agent and he generally relied on the good-natured. Yoshi's people will always help. Always help. And they didn't know.
I don't know.
So they didn't know, and I don't blame them. It's not their fault. You can only be good. You can only if you are going to be a good person. If you're going to be good people, then you have to be good people all the time, even if it costs you. So they didn't know.
Also announced through the Nintendo Direct was Splatoon 3 coming out next year.
Right.
And the last Smash Brothers fighter is coming out next month.
All right.
So you have time to get your GameCube controllers. Although I have to say, I'm gonna start another tangent because we had this tangent yesterday, and I feel like it needs to happen again.
Now, one thing before you start your tangent is
I mean, it's really you can see me tangenting.
I've never played a game that has where I've been reminded that I'm new like Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers players are the most ruthless fighting game players I have ever seen in decades of playing fighting games, across several fighting games all over the place.
Sakurai.
And they don't Smash Brothers players, they give no quarter, they give no advice unless they know you, and they will remind you that you're terrible if you dare to speak up and are not good at the game. And as a result, I will never pick up a GameCube controller, and I will never play another round of Smash. Ever in life.
To be fair, most really good Smash players that I've encountered aren't the ones who rub it in how terrible you are.
Yes, I'm certain that they exist. But
no, they're specific. They're specific. That's how I can tell the good Smash players
right
from like the regular Smash players. Is like the really good Smash players are just like, While you have the regular Smash players being like, I'm the best. I'll take you all down. Nobody can beat me. And I'm like, I know a person.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, that's another thing, yes. They talk a lot of shit. I wish I knew a Smash player to throw at other Smash players that deploy him. Give a little Pokeball.
I do know a Smash player. Right. And I actively throw him at other players.
Right. Deploy him like a Pokeball, yes.
I'm like, no, you can't. And they're like, we'll see about that. And I'm like, you're going to get destroyed. No, you don't know. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh. And I'm like, my money, please.
That's real Pokemon trainer shit. You get paid too? Damn, that's real Pokemon trainer shit.
I'm like, you're going to buy me and the person who just destroyed you lunch. Thank you.
And I respect that. All right.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. No, it's really great. Like not being great at Smash, but knowing somebody who is like the best Smash player, because like anytime I encounter somebody who's like, oh, I can beat everybody's ass. I'm like, I already know a person who you can't, and I know based off of your attitude that you will lose.
Right.
I'm a horrible friend.
Listen,
and of course my friend's like, I'm not that great. And I'm like, whatever, crown champion, sure. Well, actually, no, I actually did know one of the top Smash not in this last one, but one in the previous versions, one of the top Smash players, and he was just like super chill while everybody was just talking mad shit. And I'm like, you don't know who this person is.
Right. Bless him.
I'm like, I can't wait for this.
Oh, that's
gonna be hilarious.
That's pretty good. I appreciate that. It's good to know that they exist. I'm certain that they do statistically. So it's good to know that there are humble Smash players in the world.
I don't necessarily know humble. They just keep their superiority to themselves.
I guess humble enough. We're just gonna go humble enough. All right. All right, is
If it's
tangent.
really good, you don't need to brag about how good you are.
I mean, I agree with that. That is what I live by. But yes, all right, we're running low on time, so we need to do the.
Okay.
What's happening.
Just based off of that conversation on the feds and
Right.
Mario knowledge just reminded me about how we were having a conversation about how fucking dated Activision games are, specifically Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, no, I've reached the old liberal point of I think that no. It's one thing. I don't think any game should be based on a real war where people died if you're going to video game it up. For one thing, there should never be a game about World War I and II where I shoot a person and it says plus 18 XP or plus 500 objective points ever again, ever.
Never.
Like we did it, and that's cool. But now we must never do it again, as we have more than enough fictional war, and we are very good at it. We no longer need to do this ever again. So I'm looking at like the new Call of Duty, like Vanguard, is what it's called, and it's in World War II, and I'm like.
Literally nobody wants another World War II
Nobody
game.
wants a World War II game. But the small subset of people who do enjoy these old manipulative war games are like, the history of this is all off. So the history buffs who like a good war game are like, this is fucked up. Your primary audience, just like 20-year-old dudes, is... they do not understand why we are going to World War II or why it is even a viable setting for a game. But then there's also like the weird tone that Call of Duty takes. That's always confused me. Like, as Call of Duty, you're in World War II, you have like red dot sights when there were no red dot sights. You get skins on your gun that say things on them. So I get to be like in World War II with my custom character with their pink STG with the scope that doesn't exist, with like the icon that says like let's fucking go in like spray paint, and then there's like an announcer that goes like double kill, triple kill, and I'm like, who exactly is this for? And I understand Call of Duty in and of itself has become culture to the point where it's very awkward to observe Call of Duty anyway. But I feel like we've now reached a peak where I'm not too sure who do they even understand who they're making their game for, even as they sell billions of copies.
I'm telling you, like the Call of Duty series, and I say this actually in general with Activision, period, is that they never aged past 2005 to 2010. Like they never left that bracket, and like all of their games are really like made for what was selling in that like stretch of time, and they just never left it because literally everything they put out is dated like that. And the Call of Duty series is just the most egregious.
I mean, when you said that, I was thinking about what they've actually made their money off of, and it's like Overwatch is probably the freshest thing they've made, and that's 4, 5, 6 years old at this point.
Right.
And then the last thing they made that did really well was Crash Bandicoot 4, which was just Crash Bandicoot. And even the things that I own from Activision is like Crash Remake 1 through 3, Spyro 1 through 3. So I'm thinking about it, and like you're absolutely positively right. Like they don't. And even like the Call of Duty, it's no matter how good Call of Duty is, it always feels like Call of Duty, and it feels so dated. All of it feels dated. And you're absolutely right. They just have not moved on past their heyday. And their heyday has now become culture. So like it would require a mass exodus, like say the World of Warcraft people. Like it would need an impetus and a destination, an alternative, which is why everyone jumped in Final Fantasy 14. They left
my servers.
Everyone left World of Warcraft to go to Final Fantasy 14. So they have the impetus, which was the terrible management of World of Warcraft, and then the destination, which is Final Fantasy 14 being the best it's ever been. You know? So
my servers are full. They shut down our data center. Like you literally can't make new characters on our data center.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah, our data center is closed. Now, it's great for selling right now because all of the botters are getting deleted and they can't get back in. because you can't transfer to our server and you can't make new characters on our server.
Right.
So I'm just like, yes. Yes. Like and you know they keep deleting, like erasing all these bots and like the botters. So like the botters are just vanishing. And I'm just like, which means that the prices are stabilizing, and I'm like
Oh, good
actually
stuff.
able to like I'm making money at the end of like right before expansion period, which is when I really need to make money. And I'm like, God, thank you. God bless. Yes.
Well, then,
But
and Activision is good for something then, as they flooded Final Fantasy servers and forced them to clean out their servers and rid themselves of bots that then have affected you as a master crafter, has affected your bottom line positively now that you have less glut and bots.
that's so great. But with like the war game thing, like what I want, I want one last World War II game.
Oh yes,
I
listen,
want
World War II. You were saying this yesterday. It needs a World War II game needs to be survival horror, 100%.
yeah, I need one last World War II game, the
Yeah.
one that will end, that will stop this, and it needs to be an actual like realistic World War II game. Like even if they split it up into like 5 or 6 like different World War II stories, but it's got to be historically accurate.
Right.
So like you got like the combat's gonna be accurate. You're only gonna have like the guns that were used, like the actual like the planes of the time, how they worked. It's not gonna be fun. There's gonna be no fun. It's just gonna be depressing and scary.
Listen, the idea that, I mean, gamifying, the worst thing that I've seen, and this is when I started coming to the conclusion that we can no longer do war games, was the opening to, I think it was Battlefield 5, which is a game about World War One, and the game opened up with your character being overrun in war in various theaters of war, and it was like very somber, and the opening, like the first 15 minutes was like, you fighting and trying to survive, but not being able to because too much is happening, being overwhelmed, just being a lone person over losing their life tragically in war. There was like a whole somber moment and some quotes. And then the game started. And then off we went doing game shit. There we went off getting XP, leveling up, doing Call of Duty shit, being bullet sponges. And I was like, I think we cannot do this anymore.
No, we need to take the game out of. We need to take the gamifiedness out of like World War II games.
World War I, World War II were horrible. We no longer need them to be games. It needs to be unpleasant because I feel like these things, and I imagine it was the concern before, but it's like if we're gonna do it, we can afford to do it right at least once, because I realize we've really never really done it right.
No, we've never done it.
Right, and it's like
we've never been properly respectful of like
Right.
what happened, and what happened on all sides was atrocious
right,
and terrifying, and people came back. People either didn't come back, or came back really, just like physically or mentally or both harmed.
yep,
And then there were no resources for them.
nope. The
And so I really think like, a very realistic World War II game just needs to happen. And even if it's from like different perspectives would be good.
Yep.
Like I want them, and when I mean realistic, I mean like let's do some Grave of the Firefly shit.
right,
Like I want tears.
right. It should be terrible. You should feel.
It should
It's a
be
game with no
horrible.
replayability because you feel
None.
awful. There are no
Yes.
collectibles. There are achievements for getting through it. That's it. You did it.
That's it.
You got to the end of it. You can replay it if you want to be sad again. There's no time trials, no PvP, no hard mode. That's it. You did it. Your game ends silently with a young man on a bus. That's it, just a young man on a bus falling asleep. Your
Yep.
character would get progressively more quiet as the game goes on, and it gets worse because
Mhm.
the fuck, and then the game would just end silently, and we would just leave that man. We would be detached. We would left in our own thoughts, and that character would be left with the rest of his life, having done what happened, having seen what happens in war. That's it. World War II done. That's it. Survival horror, horrible, horrible, sad game, somber ending. We don't know what happens to that person. We can look it up because the shit's fucking accurate. So we can look it up.
We have so many records.
We can look up what probably happened to the character, and that's it.
And
Yeah.
part of the money should like go to
Yes.
specifically like veterans and mental health.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
And then we can be done with this.
Last one would be the last one. It'd be
Last one.
it
Last one.
It would be so miserable that no one would want. We wouldn't make another one because what the fuck is wrong with us? No
Right,
one would
because
want to.
any other World War II game would be immediately compared to it.
Right, and it'd be like, oh, we didn't know you were being disrespectful. It's like, fuck yeah, they were being disrespectful. So yeah, then you would know. That's it. There would be no more, and
None.
And that would be the last World War I or II game, and then we can move on with our lives and do fictional fucking space wars or anything wars. Because I don't mind that we love war games as our violent racist society, but we don't need to gamify existing wars that lots of people have not recovered from and never will. So,
I mean, entire economies still haven't recovered from it.
yep,
So
right. All that to say is
no more. We're done. Stop it. Stop it.
I won't be buying even though I never do. I do have my Xbox spouse buys all the war games. I refuse to buy any more military games. At least I play one with the narrative from like the narrative quality of like Spec Ops: The Line. That was a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, I do like flight sims because a lot of flight sims when they go on them, like you're constantly a different person in a different plane, so that's always nice. But even those don't usually go that much in depth because it's about the plane.
Right. So flight sims are for there is a different thing. I think trying to like you said the wartime plane people, honestly, they seem a little more respectful of what's happening than the wartime foot soldier. Like if you can accurately recreate a classic war plane in a wartime, and it's intriguing and difficult.
There's a lot of them actually.
Right. No game dares to duplicate what you were doing on the ground, and that annoys me. They wouldn't dare, and I'm like, no, you stop being fucking cowards, and you dare. You fucking dare. But
yeah,
that's right. Quit being cowards.
Back really quick to Activision again. Well, we're still on Activision because we're ripping Call of Duty.
Weird tone.
Now we're gonna
weird
rip
tone.
Diablo.
Oh yeah, Diablo 2.
Yeah, so
remake.
Diablo. So I mean, we're not gonna go too much into it, but Diablo 2 came out, and it's got spruced up graphics, and of course this is coming out during the great reckoning of Activision and Activision Blizzard as they've been hit by the state, the feds. I think they also got hit by the SEC for not disclosing issues. They're getting literally hit by everybody because that's how badly they fucked up. So like the more that gets uncovered into this investigation, the more departments are getting involved because it affects their department. Like that's literally their department's job. So like, oh, because Activision was like falsifying documents, another department is involved and gets to take them to task over that specific thing. Over, another department gets to come at them because they just straight up weren't reporting things that were happening when they're like legally obligated to. And so as more things are being uncovered, more departments are getting across state and federal are getting involved in this, and they're just kind of fucked right now. Even if the company itself doesn't like collapse, Activision Blizzard will never be the same ever. Like this, like they won't be able to operate in the same capacity that they have been. It's just like they're going to become a smaller company, and in that they're also just bleeding talent right now. The executive producer of Overwatch has left, and also, by the way, their Activision's legal representative just left. They just went and goodbye.
My favorite thing was that there was no mention of what's happening in the statement from the legal rep.
Nope.
They were just like, so we was thinking, it's time,
we're just gonna go.
It's time for new horizons, it's that time of life,
what was it, hedge fund? Like the team that they had, the union busting team that they had pulled in to like help them with their investigations is now also suing them.
Really?
Yes.
For pulling them into this shit?
I'm not entirely sure.
Can
I
you-
have to read it again. But I was like, what? So Diablo 2 like remaster, essentially, like Diablo 2, like bringing it up to current specs and on console. A lot of work's gone into it, but like nobody's like outwardly like nobody's really saying, like, nobody who's worked on the game has been like boycott this game. They are like what is being said is like, listen, if you can't buy this game, I get it. You don't have to. You don't have to buy this game. It's okay. But you know, a lot of people did put their hard work into it who also are now no longer at the company. By the way, Activision is hiring for all positions.
Get in there, folks.
Get in there. Sorry. But you know, it is one of those really weird things where it's just like, do you spend your money or do you not spend your money? Blizzard, I was already, Blizzard's not getting a dime from me before any of this came down, because of our current like section of the podcast that I like affectionately referred to, unofficial section, called Blizzard's fucking up again. So after several like years of them continuing being 2005 to 2010 and even before that, Blizzard, I'm done. So I was already not getting their money, but it's probably good to not give them their money. However, if you know, everybody has their own hard limits, and that's fine. The interesting part about Diablo 2, though widely well received for the most part, is the biggest complaint about it is that it's not Diablo 3, which I found personally entertaining, because when Diablo 3 came out, people were complaining it wasn't Diablo 2. And so it's one of those things where like nostalgia goggles got taken off of people's faces. As what's, you know, widely received as one of the best PC games that had came out during like one of the most iconic PC games that had ever come out is now available on console, and people are remembering like, oh, this about Diablo 2. And they're having server issues, which server issues always happen
Right.
on. Like, honestly, if it's a new game, there's multiplayer, expect server issues.
Always.
Like, there's just no point in even complaining about it. There's just no way to handle people. There's no way to prepare for it.
Right.
So just be patient. It'll work after a bit. It's just server issues are gonna be a thing. But yeah, the biggest complaint is like
Very stiff.
It's
Stiff control. Very. It's not very enjoyable mechanically. The minute to minute.
Yeah, it's like the narrative is really good. The characters are really great. The mechanic, like it doesn't operate mechanically as smooth as Diablo 3, which people were complaining that Diablo 3 wasn't as mechanically as good as Diablo 2, and now it's the reverse. So I'm laughing my ass off at this. Because again, you know, remove those nostalgic goggles.
I mean, I love to see it because we sure did let Diablo 3 have it when it came out. So I remember they were saying that it was too cartoony.
Yep.
Too bright. And granted, if you like Diablo 2 was so grimy. Jesus Christ. It was too bright. Characters were silly. You did make mention though that the actual minute the RPG systems were better in Diablo 2, a little better defined than they were in Diablo 3. But otherwise, yes, playing Diablo 3 is a better experience than playing Diablo 2. But for years, you were not allowed to make that statement.
Nope.
And now
That statement was not allowed.
First thing, people were like, yeah, this feels old. And the genre, the ARPG genre, has just gotten it. I would say it's like right behind the first-person shooter genre of consistently updating itself in terms of gameplay and flow. That older games don't feel classic; they do, in fact, just feel old. And yep, it is fun to see. It is very amusing.
Old game, like what came out in 2000.
I mean, it is very amusing because, you know, it does track what the whole Activision is old themselves. They lack awareness. So they just kind of put out Diablo 2 and they put it out. And it's right on brand for them to just put out straight up and down Diablo 2, which is their way. Actually, it's their way of doing remakes, I find, is they don't update anything. They will give you the game. They touch up the graphics. They give you the game. They did that with Crash Bandicoot. Spyro.
Yeah,
the gameplay
no,
is the same.
that's exactly what they do.
Spyro and Crash Bandicoot play in such a way that it works for them, but that it just kind of hit a wall.
I mean,
they did that. Oh yeah, World of Warcraft remake also hit that.
Oh,
It hit that. Yeah, it has had the same problem where it's like people were like, "You guys didn't touch anything meaningful about the game.
No,
This game is not fun to play. It feels old, guys. Please."
and granted, there's a lot of work that took like bringing like classic Diablo 2 to even be able to get it to play on consoles and PCs, etc.
Right.
Like currently, like that's a lot of work, and that's not dismissing their work. However, again, like
It's the reviews. Like, I don't think Diablo 2 should play any different than Diablo 2, but
right,
the amount of people who dislike Diablo 3 and are now into Diablo 2 and then are like, oh, Diablo 2, I miss Diablo 3 now. I'm like, well,
right, that's funny.
you're a dick. Working on
You're a
Diablo
dick
2,
and
whoever
it's
did
funny.
whoever did the work on Diablo 2, all of you, congratulations. Good stuff. All the people who spent all their time shitting on Diablo 3, who now miss Diablo 3, well, you're a dick.
You're a dick.
That's what we're talking about.
You're a dick.
All
And
right.
I think that's our show.
I think we did it. I think we did it. I think we did it.
We did it. My cat's super happy because like her feeding time is like at noon, but she didn't come out here until like 1:30, 1:40ish. Like, you haven't called me, human. And now she's patiently waiting
Oh,
for
wow.
lunch.
That's support. That's good support from your animal. Just kind of letting you cook while they're not. Okay. Well, you go ahead and feed your cat. And anyone else, like I said, if you want to find us, we are UN Fridays on Twitter. I am Annis Freeman on Twitter. Bacon is B4Z0NZILLA. Baconzilla.
If you would like to join our growing Discord community, because the Unreasonable Friday team really hates Facebook groups. So if you would like to be in a replacement for a Facebook group and, you know, can follow the rules and follow the nature of the show, feel free to message us. You can message me, you can message Aaron, you can send a message to the Unreasonable Fridays Twitter account, and you will be let in through the door.
Facebook groups go south. I mean, since there's been Discord, I find some people are going to Discord with their groups and it's creating a healthier alternative to having just Facebook groups. And that's really what we can say is some Facebook groups work, some of them don't, some of them go south. I don't want those problems. Discord's much, much better.
I have a much easier time managing Discord.
I mean, it's probably the best team communication app.
I have a much easier time managing. Like, Discord groups, when they get to like thousands of people, become much harder. But there's also, because of like, you can have bot support, it's so much easier. Like, you can't set up like bot mods in Facebook to like catch things if your admins aren't online to catch things. So,
well, there you go. Ways to find us, ways to contact us. We hope you enjoyed our program, and we will see you next week.